this is a video I've been meaning to do for ages, but I've always felt a bit weird doing it. Like, relationships are personal. I asked on Instagram like if anyone had any questions, so I'll just try and answer some of the questions, and I'll probably talk a lot about Brendan in the video, who's my husband. We've been married for 1.5 years and he's been with me through a relapse and helped me through it a lot. Of course, there are so many more relationships with like friends and parents and family members and all sorts, so yeah, this really is just going to be like based on my own experience. Just to give you a bit of a history about us, we got together I think about 6 or 7 years ago. We met in an Irish bar in Dubai on St. Patrick's Day, drinking cider, and I was healthy at the time when we met. And then I had a relapse over a few months, and then we got together, and pretty much as soon as we got together I started seeing a psychologist as well, because I'd met Brendan, it was like a really good thing, and I didn't want an eating disorder there fucking it all up. And now we're expecting our first baby. I'm currently 7 months pregnant, and I realise this all sounds kind of like idyllic and perfect, and I don't mean it to at all, because I personally could not have had both. Like, to maintain a meaningful relationship and live a life of an eating disorder, like, I'm not a superhero. Physically, mentally, emotionally, I wouldn't have had space for both of those things. All of the relationships I have in my life I've got because of times when I've been well enough to like actually connect with people. To me, an eating disorder was such an isolating experience. Like, yeah, I really couldn't have done both. Now, I've just got to Starbucks, so I'm just gonna go and get myself a drink. Got a mocha frappuccino. I'm just going to sit and do some furniture shopping. We've just bought a flat in Edinburgh. I actually got over 100 questions on Instagram about this topic, so I've tried to just join them all together into like broad themes. A lot of people asked, when in the relationship did I tell Brendan about my eating disorder? Straight away, like the very first day that we officially got together. I feel like it's such a massive part of my history, and if people don't know, I don't feel like they would really know me. So if it's someone I want to get close to, like same with friends, I've always told people. I've got the questions written down here. Lots of people have said, were you shit scared of how you'd come across? Yes. I was really scared that he'd see me completely differently and that it would put him off me. But then at the same time, I didn't want him dating like a facade of me. I wanted to feel like genuine in the relationship. And he is such a caring and understanding person. It's not like I just met some asshole and then opened up and told him. A lot of people said, how did he react? He was quite shocked. Like, he actually had no idea, even though I was in like a relapse at the time and I'd started getting treatment. But I didn't really look really ill. Like, I was actually only a few kilos below the weight my body would want to be. I think people think of anorexia as like emaciated on a hospital bed, and I wasn't at all. I was still working, I was still kind of functioning, but it doesn't take very much for me to have like a head full of eating disorder again. I really only need to lose a couple of kilos for that to happen, so I can kind of look okay, but in my head things are absolutely fucked. And it's probably hard for someone who's like doesn't know anything about eating disorders to get that. Did Bren understand eating disorders before you were together? No, he did not have a clue. Now he's a freaking expert. Like, he could honestly be a psychologist in the field. I think he's very understanding to begin with. He's such a kind person, and he always kind of sees the good in people as well. Like, I feel like he always saw me in me. And he did a shit ton of research, which is another question as well. Like, what resources did Bren use? He read an awful lot online. There's a woman called Emily Troshenko. I don't know if I've said her name right, and she's amazing. She writes incredible blogs and she explains it really, really well. He started watching YouTube as well, actually, like recovery accounts, which is how I thought to get into it. And also, we talked about it a lot. Like, I tried to be really, really honest and open with him. Bless his heart. And yeah, I don't know how he understands it so well. He is amazing with it. I'm very lucky. Also, kind of through a bit of trial and error, like, we learnt together like what some of the good things were to say, because oh my god, you are on eggshells with someone with an eating disorder. It's so easy to say the wrong thing. And like, as I was gaining weight, Bren would say to me like, oh, you're looking so good, you look so much better, which I totally see why you'd say something like that, but I either just heard that as, okay, you've gotten fat, or I heard it as, okay, so you look good now, you have to stop, do not gain any more weight, which is not what he would mean at all. So he then started saying stuff like, the more weight you gain, the more there is of you to love. He'd say, I just want a woman wife, or I want you to be a Meg-shaped Meg. He'd also say like, I don't even care about your shape, like I just want you to be you. I'd rather have a Meg that I can go and drink ciders with and get dinner with and have takeaways, not have to go restaurant to restaurant looking for something that you're able to eat. And he'd say like, I don't care what size that needs to be for you to be able to do that, but like, it's you that I want, not your body. That was actually an amazing thing for him to say. And you need to speak up a bit as well. Like if someone does say something that's a bit triggering for you, like let them know. Don't just hear it and be like, oh my god, okay, so that means I can never gain any more weight, like that's what I'm now going to hold on to in my head. That's not going to be good for you or your relationship. Like if something didn't come out the right way, then like think about what would be a better way to phrase it. And yeah, for us, we like kind of worked it through together. I'm just about to take the little pup for his first haircut. So this is the before. You gorgeous boy. Cutty. Good boy. Good boy. Hello, darling. I feel so bad. If he knew where he was going, he would not be this excited. No. Come on my lap. Give me your legs. Good lad. Good boy. You're the best boy. Are you my best boy? You're so good. Well done. Let's go. I've just started listening to this podcast, Evidence-Based Birth, and it's absolutely brilliant. If you're interested in birthing methods, like the pros and cons of different drugs and pain management, it's really, really interesting. I've kind of left it a bit late to start listening to it. I'm like 32 weeks pregnant now, so like, well, next week, so I'm 8 months next week. But it's definitely helping me learn a bit more about like options available. Just try not to get overwhelmed by it, because when I first started listening, I got like really anxious, didn't I, pup? Really overwhelmed by all the different options out there and the pros and cons and blah blah blah. But I was trying to remind myself, like, I'm not going to do the perfect birth, I'm not doing the perfect pregnancy, like, yeah, just use it more as informational. Right, should we go and get your haircut? Good boy. Who is it, Stevie? Bren has cooked us dinner. What is it, Bren?
Sun-dried tomatoes.
Chicken pasta dish. Yum! That looks amazing, thank you. I've just got home late from work and Brendan is making us dinner of, what's it called again? Pasta tuna mayo pasta. And we're gonna have salad with a honey mustard vinaigrette. But wait, what? Honey mustard dressing. Oh my god, what is wrong with me? And of course, with real mayonnaise. Once it's in, it's in. Delicious. Thanks, Bren. And samesies portions. Betty. Good boy. Good boy. Go, go, go. Quite a few people asked when it felt okay for Bren to start cooking for me, and honestly, it was absolutely terrifying. I just didn't want to lose my control over like what I ate, when I ate, how I prepared it. But then at the same time, that was so much part of my problem. Like I had too much control and there were so many opportunities for anorexia to make my decisions for me. Like you've got to decide what you're going to eat, buy the food, prepare the food, and not make some shitty little anorexic version where you've left out all the ingredients and it doesn't really resemble the meal it's meant to be at all. We actually decided as part of my treatment, like, to let Bren cook so that he would take over that control and like decide what we had, prepare it, portion it for me. And it was horrible. Like, it was everything I didn't want to do. It was the most terrifying thing ever. But also, I don't know, it like took it out of my hands and it took that opportunity away from me, and it stopped me making those anorexic decisions. And I know I'm really incredibly lucky to be in a position where I had someone who could help me like that. But I haven't always been. Like in a past relapse, I actually used a meal delivery service to deliver literally breakfast, lunch and dinner. I think it even delivered my snacks, you know. Good boy. You're a good boy. And I think it depends what your goals are in recovery as well. Like, it's always been so important for me that I can let other people cook. So some of my absolute biggest goals in recovery, which I never thought I would be able to achieve. One thing was that Brendan could cook dinner for us and that he could portion it and I could eat it exactly as it came without like a salad or vegetables on the side, so I couldn't just bulk my plate up with veg. That was terrifying. Or to like go to a friend's house and know that if they made spaghetti bolognese and there wasn't a salad on the side, I could have it. Or if they made something that did have a salad on the side and it had dressing on it, I could have it. Or like they served dessert, like it wouldn't matter, I'd know I could eat it. As with anything in recovery really, I think like it's all about breaking the cycle, and if you don't like how something is, you have to change it and you have to do the opposite thing, even though that's so uncomfortable. And I didn't really want to let go of my control, but at the same time, it was so life limiting. Like, I hated living with that much control. So like letting Bren cook for me, letting family cook for me, going to friends' houses, eating at restaurants and ordering things exactly as they come, using a meal delivery service, like forcing myself to follow recipes and not leave shit out and not make anorexic versions of food. Because let's face it, those meals are bollocks. Like, those things were all so far out of my comfort zones and made me so anxious, and it was horrible. But like, now I can do those things. Go and get your thing. Go and get your toy. But yeah, I guess if I hadn't broken those cycles, I'd still be in those cycles. Right, we're gonna go in and get dinner.